Welcome. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Texas had an opportunity to do something yesterday, I guess. And again, like we've seen multiple times in this era, this reminds me of like year 2 Sark, where he had the opportunity to make the Big 12 title game where nobody expected it and he comes up a little short. In year 1, he had the opportunity to start this thing off really, really well, but they lost a bunch of one-score games. And then in year 3, you had the opportunity to become the first team ever to win the SEC title in their first year. And I think we need to have a legitimate conversation coming off of the game and saying, I think Georgia's just a bad matchup for Texas. And I say that because of one particular piece that Texas wants to do well in that Georgia just does better than them, and that's that defensive line. That defensive line always happens to put this offensive line in a blender, and it happened again yesterday. I think there's a lot of other factors. Texas should have won that game. It's that simple, but I just don't. There's just too many things that occurred during the course of that game that they just fumbled over themselves. And there are things that happen in that game that we usually don't see from this Texas team, except from the first time that we played Georgia and yesterday. Thoughts?
Offensive line, you got your ass whooped again. Straight up. Defensive line, you did all right. But as far as that offensive line, you got your ass whooped. Coach Sark, you got outclassed. You got outcoached. Quinn, I'm off of him.
I am too. I am too.
Here's why I'm off Quinn. For the last 2 months, and some of this is on Sark too, and we have to stop blaming Quinn, and we have to start shifting the blame from the top. It all starts at the top.
I agree.
Okay. So Quinn comes in, and for the past 2 months, he's played pedestrian. Let's just put it like that. That's just is what it is. He has not put up the same offensive numbers that he did at the beginning of the year. I get it. You know, there's a different type of foes. I understand what's going on. When it comes to being injured, I understand that there is a precedence for being injured versus being hurt. And I think personally, at this point in time, I think Quinn's lingering injury, has hobbled this team because he's not able to plant off of his foot. This is just what I'm seeing. You know, there was a couple throws that he did a really good job with last week when he was going up against A&M. He looked really, really good. But this week seemed a little different. And again, he was floating balls. There have been some times where he was able to put zip on the ball, but to me, in times where he needed to put zip on the ball, he didn't. I think there was one where he got a ball to Moore on a slant route that looked really good, but that was maybe 1 or 2 times where he put some real zip or heat on the ball. Other than that, he was putting the ball in the air. It was fluttering. It had no type of. It just had no type of velocity whatsoever. So in this case, I think Sark has said we're going to go down with the ship. We're going to, and he feels that Quinn is his best option. I understand that, but at what point in time do you look at your offense and say, my offense really ain't putting up the points that we normally put up, and I don't. What's the common denominator of this? What's the common denominator? Except for when we play Georgia, what is the actual common denominator? We can run the ball on any team outside of Georgia. We can pass with the best with them, but we haven't. Why haven't we been passing like we should have? Now, again, Quinn had over 350 yards last week or last night.
Awesome. How many
Very
points did
good.
he play to?
Very, very good. A lot of those were chunk plays. Did they have some chunk plays? Yes. Did Quinn put the ball up in the air for the receivers to go get the ball? Absolutely. However, there is still a point in time where you're like, okay, we need you to go get this ball game. We need you to go and win this ball game. Whether it's with your feet, whether it's with your arm, we need you to go and be special. And he hasn't done it. Has he done it in the past? Absolutely. So we know it's there. So our expectation is for him to go make the play. And he didn't do it. And he didn't do it twice.
Here's what I'll say about, and DG, what's up, man? Welcome back to the stream, bro. We really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
We can't run the ball against Kirby. We're never going to beat them. I disagree.
1,000%. Those Georgia cornerbacks are trash.
Bad.
They're bad. They're very, very bad.
And I think this is where the defensive line play comes into it. They disguise a lot of things, right? And early on, this is my problem with Sark yesterday. Early on, and you and I obviously were texting through the game.
Yep.
Early on, he was attacking those DBs, and it worked. And I was like, oh wow, this is a really good sign. But then when you get into the fourth quarter, he was still doing the exact same thing that he was doing in the quarters, and it's almost like he didn't recognize that Georgia adjusted. The middle of the field, the fact that Gunnar Helm only had 2 targets in this game, when he had the most receptions and reception yards in the first game, was baffling to me. Gunnar Helm should have had a much bigger. And here's the thing: if you attack Gunnar Helm down the middle, guess what? They can't. They were just lining up and they were just going ham on Quinn.
Yeah. They were
teeing off. Yeah. And when you attack the middle of the field, you then take that pressure off of Quinn because the backers can't come down. And now you're not playing against the blitz. You're playing just straight up line of scrimmage. And that's maybe where you can get some advantages, because now in some cases you're playing 5-on-4, right?
Yeah.
And if you can't protect 5-on-4, then I don't know what you can do, right? So I was baffled that Gunnar Helm wasn't used more in this game. And there was actually that last play, the fourth down before they kicked the field goal, Gunnar Helm was wide open.
Gunnar Helm was wide open in the end zone.
In the end zone.
So here's the thing for it. Here's another thing.
And the play calling in overtime was atrocious. I don't know what Sark was thinking.
I don't necessarily know what Coach Sark was doing. You can't get the ball. You can't run the ball. You're not getting the ball out. The screens that Sark was trying to do yesterday took so long to develop.
That's the other thing. That was crazy.
That
was weird.
What the hell are you doing? You know your offensive line has been getting their ass blown out not the entire game, but for majority.
For the most part, yeah.
They've been getting worked, okay? Outside of what's my man filling in for Kelvin Banks?
Oh, Trevor Gooseby.
Gooseby.
He's
so is a dog.
Is a dog. We're gonna be just fine without Michael Fasusi. I promise.
Jake Powers. I love Jake Powers. You got worked. What's the other gentleman? The right tackle.
Cam Williams.
Cam
Williams needs to come back. He can't.
You don't need to be thinking about anything pro, because against the best of the best, you look pedestrian. And the best of the best in the NFL are spread out throughout all 32 teams in the NFL. You're gonna face a pass rusher every week. And you're going to find yourself in a whole lot of trouble, sir. And you're a very talented football player, but there's some things that you need to work on.
He needs one more year.
You've got, dog. You've got to stay still. Oh my God. You're at a neutral site. There's tons of Longhorn fans in that building. There's tons of Georgia fans in that building. There should be no reason why you should be flinching at all.
Yeah.
There should be there's no reason. You've had multiple times against Georgia, and you shot yourself in the foot. Penalties on top of penalties on top of penalties on top of penalties. I get why Sark was pissed. There was a number of penalties that Georgia didn't get. And you know what? So the fuck what? I'm sorry for cursing, but so what? Because you know where you're at. You're in Atlanta, Georgia. You're in a conference championship game. You know, even though you are the home team, you know what you're finna go against. You know this. So you have to be sound on everything. The special teams played the special teams played like a joke.
Oh God, Bert Auburn, for your kicker, what are you doing? Bert Auburn kicked
holding penalties after punt returns, unsportsmanlike. No, not it wasn't an unsportsmanlike conduct, but it was something of like hands to the face. There was hands to the face.
Oh, the hands to the face.
Yep. The hands to the face penalty by my man. We just gave you so much love.
Vernon Broughton. Vernon Broughton. Yep.
Vernon, dog, what we doing, bro? What
on
we
an
doing,
interception. Dog? Going offsides on back-to-back interceptions. Going offsides on back-to-back interceptions. Colin Simmons. Listen, and I'll give Colin some grace because he's a freshman. You can't do that, man. You can't do that.
I get it, but you know what I saw from Colin? I saw Colin trying.
He was jumping. Yeah, he was.
I saw Colin trying. Michael Taft was blasting running backs. And as we get ready to start here, and we get ready to check out what's going to happen live, I got one more thing to say about this. Wherever we land, I have absolutely no confidence with Quinn as a starting quarterback unless that man is 1,000% healthy that we're going to get anywhere. I'm sorry. I don't. Do I think we can make a national championship? Do I think we can make a push? Yeah, I do. I think we can make a push, maybe 1 or 2 games. Do I see ourselves going into a national championship after the way Quinn played yesterday? Absolutely not. And I'm done.
Yeah, I don't see it either, man. I wanted to be optimistic and pull out like the greatness of this.
And to be honest with you, Quinn, he shouldn't even think about going to the league. He needs to transfer, go to another team, do something, because the way you played and like your best ability is your availability. You have not been available since you came to the University of Texas at all. You need to do something with you need to get your body right. You know, they had the same thing about Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy went through the same thing. I don't necessarily know what year it was. I want to say his sophomore or junior year, but he went and put some work, did some work, lifted some weights, got stronger, got healthier, and he balled out.
Yeah,
Quinn could do the same.
Not in Texas. I think Quinn's
not in Texas. It's just unfortunately, and I like Quinn. You know, I'm a state guy. You know, I'm always going to rep for the kids that go here, that go to this school, that want to represent the state of Texas. But clearly, Quinn, something is not connecting. You're supposed to take these leaps and bounds from year 2 to year 3. This is the first time that I've seen a quarterback under Steve Sarkisian at any point in time that did not look more impressive than they should have looked the previous year. Quinn does not look better. He does not look better. He just doesn't. I don't know if that's on coaching. I don't know if that's on if that's on him. I think it's a little bit of both. But he does not look better than he did last year. And last year he did really, really good. And he does not look better than he did last year. He looks like he's regressed.
Yes, I would agree with that.
I don't know if it's the injury and the type of injury he had, but last year he had a throwing injury and he still looked decent at times. He's got an ankle injury now, and it's obvious. It's clearly affecting his gameplay. It's clearly affecting his velocity. It's clearly affecting him in his movement because when he got any pressure, instead of trying to step up in the pocket, he folded like a napkin.
Yep. So the show just started really quick. Just your prediction. What seed do you think Texas gets?
5 through 7. I don't think they fall anything farther than that.
Let's look at this. Well, I mean, they're just starting their pre-show. They haven't done anything, right? Now, I don't know if you can hear it, but I've got it on the background. So let's just assume they get the 5 seed. They would go Arizona State, Boise State, and then potentially Oregon in the semis. Assuming all that stays the same. That might be the best road for Texas. I don't think you want to see Texas. I think they need to go take on Oregon and go try to get their best shot on that side of the bracket because I don't see this Texas team beating Georgia if they play it right now. Right? I think they need another break from having to go think about that. I think you try to avoid them.
They better hope and pray to God they get that number 5 seed. They better hope and pray to God they get it.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry. Again, with the defenses that these other guys, I don't even trust Quinn against Indiana right now. I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
Really?
I don't trust it. I listen.
Do you think Sark takes a look at this and says, "Hey, Quinn, I appreciate everything you've done.
It's time, dog. He's not.
But I'm trying to win a national title right now, and I've got everything I need except for you."
He's not healthy, dog. Bolden was out there, rolled up his ankle again. It's like, damn, bro. Like, what Brent Auburn, like, it was a perfect. It's always Georgia. It's always, why does it always have to happen against Georgia? They get to a situation, and I gotta credit that defense. I gotta credit that secondary. That secondary was holding up the entire game. You can't expect the secondary to do anything. You can't expect them to continue to play after play after play after play after play. Your defensive line gives up multiple penalties. Again, another situation where you 3rd and 15, you get a situation where you get holding. You get defensive holding. Your defensive guys have been out there for forever. What do you expect?
Retired.
You can't. Dog, I sent you that text. I said, dog, these guys are gassed, but they still holding on. They still making tackles. They still trying to force fumbles. They still trying to do everything that they possibly can to keep these guys in. The offense just look like basura, straight trash. You can't expect Georgia already knows what you're going to do. Sark didn't mix it up at all, bro.
Yeah, the play calling by Sark. You know, Texas should have had 4 additional turnovers in this game. They had the 2 interceptions that got called back for offsides, right? Obviously, and then they had 2 fumbles on back-to-back drives, and with multiple white jerseys around them, and nobody jumped on the balls. I think the second one, Michael Tapp put his weight on it, but I don't think he realized it was right there. So
DG said, I'm still searching for answers. We should have won that game. Yeah, I agree with you. Georgia did not play their best game, and they still won. They should have won. I'm gonna say this, and I never thought I would say this. The best bet for Texas yesterday should have been for Carson Beck to stay in the game.
Yeah, I agree. Because he was a statue. They were dominating Carson Beck. And I think it was a blessing in disguise for Georgia. Here's the thing, though. Do you think if Carson Beck stayed in that game, I think Texas wins that game comfortably if Carson Beck stays in it.
Carson Beck stays in the game. He puts the ball in the air. Again, one thing that I do like about Carson Beck will throw it. He'll sling it. He
Yeah, he
can
don't care. He's a
sling it.
gunslinger.
But he's also going to put the ball in the other opponent's hand. He's gonna do it. That's just what he does. He takes chances. He trusts his receivers. He trusts in his arm talent, and we know he has the strength to put the ball in the air. We've seen him do it. It's not that he can't do it, and he's not a bad quarterback. He just likes to take a lot of risk. Do they pay off? No. Do I think he'll be? I think when he gets to the next level, I don't believe he'll be a number one draft day pick. He'll be, around 4 or 5, maybe. I think if somebody is able to clean him up, he'll be really good in the NFL.
He also needs to get bigger. He looks like a stick.
Carson Beck's pretty big, though. Carson Beck
probably just looks lean. I don't know.
He's a taller guy. He's taller than Quinn, but he's
like,
bigger. He's big. He might be 6'4", 6'5".
Okay.
He's bigger than Quinn. If you look at his arm, go look at his arm, because yesterday he walked into a game where his arm was iced, and on 4th down, they knew that they were going to run it, and Sark didn't even put him in the right position to stop the run.
Yeah, for sure.
He walked. Trevor Etienne, who wasn't even supposed to play in the game yesterday, was rumored to not even. They were saying that he wasn't even going to suit up until game day. That's what I was
going to talk about next.
Until game day, they said that this man wasn't even going to suit up.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about next. I think,
bro,
Trevor Etienne again does this. If there's one thing that the Texas defense did not do well, it's run fits.
Do you know that Trevor Etienne against Texas alone in 2 games has 5 touchdowns?
It's crazy, right?
That's insane. Like, I'm really trying not to.
Difference both times.
I've been trying to like cool myself off, because it's like this is not hard stuff. And again, I didn't make it to the pros. I didn't play D1 college football, but I still know the simple. Like, football can be simple. You can make it complex, but it can also be very simple. You know for a fact that you got a guy that's going to come into the ball game because another guy got blasted. And shout out to Andrew Makuba for tagging people. Literally, the last 2 weeks, they've had to question if this guy's targeting or not, because he hits that hard. He took that quarterback off his feet.
Yep.
And had to sit and went and sat him down. So that gives you an opportunity. They don't have anybody else. They only got 2 QBs. They go and put another guy in there.
One of them couldn't hold the football.
He couldn't hold the football. You know what's going to happen. You know what's going to – it's 4th down. You know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
No, that's it.
That was wild. The fact that they didn't even try to, like, stack the box. Dude, I would have blitzed everybody. Run commit.
Everybody.
He can't throw the ball. He can't even hold the ball. That was his throwing hand.
Even if they make contact with him, if they make contact with him and they're
the
able to get enough push on that offensive line, which they at points in time in the game they were able to, if they're at least able to put pressure on that quarterback, he drops the ball. Period.
Exactly.
He drops the ball. There's a potential fumble from the time that he stands up and tries to hand the ball off. If you get those guys in there and they're able to get enough pressure, he could even stumble and drop the ball.
He's just picking it up. And
Did you see how he held the ball?
Did you see how he gave the ball off? He couldn't do it.
He gave the ball off with his offhand.
Yeah.
Bro. For the Longhorn faithful and for the Longhorn haters, you better bet with these dudes that's coming in, from what we've seen, a lot of these dudes are dogs. You better hope and pray. You better hope it. It's from the end of this season till next year. Sark it should just be all about revenge. It should be all about revenge. The entire it is unfinished business. This is unfinished business. You should be the whole entire coaching program. And I'm sorry I'm taking up so much time. this entire coaching program should be out for blood from now on. They should be out for blood. This is just
nobody has anything but doubt now.
This is unacceptable. You get Clemson coming in here, you get Oregon coming in here. They are just whacking people. I mean, again, don't get me wrong. The Penn State Oregon game got a little close. Clemson in SMU. Clemson made SMU look like a JV team last night.
For the most part, yeah. I mean, SMU kind of figured it out. They got punched. But here's the thing about SMU, right? I told you guys to watch out for SMU. I didn't think it was gonna happen.
They better pray to God. They better pray to God between now and then nobody flips from wherever they are to SMU because they're loading up. They're loading up. They are very raw team. Offensively, they are very raw, and defense, they were just overwhelmed. It was just overwhelmed. They were overwhelmed, and that in that particular game. But y'all better pray to God that SMU doesn't decide to go. They want to start putting they stuff on the table. They
have Texas money. SMU has Texas.
That's
money.
Old money, guys.
And money. Like
that's old money.
To understand they've got the money. And now you're saying they can spend $20 million a year with the salary cap? Yeah, they're going to be right there. And if Texas can't come in and win a national title this year, listen, if they don't win a national title this year, it is what it is. Nick, you have to get at least one with Arch. If you don't get one with Arch, I don't know if Sark survives. I don't know if Sark survives not getting one with Arch.
I don't know, dog.
I don't want to think about that, obviously, but
I don't want to think about it either. But at the same time, like I have to give Sark credit where credit is due. You've managed to do what you had to do, except for when it comes to this guy. Again, it's Sark and Kirby. This is what it is. We know what it is. We understand. Yes, Dabo is Dabo. He's been in this game for a long time, but Dabo is getting in by the hairs of his chin. If they don't win, if Miami doesn't lose to Syracuse, they're not even a thought.
Yep.
They're not a thought. They're not even in this. They managed to get in. Good for them. Oregon, Ohio State, we know what they do. We know what they can do. Again, Ryan Day, same situation as Sark. You've looked good. You've recruited all these big name guys. You still haven't finished. You haven't. You can't be Michigan to save your life right now. I don't know what that is. You can't beat a down Michigan. That's terrible. Sark is in the same boat now, to me. You are in the same boat as Ryan Day. You're in the same boat as Dabo. You were winning, you were established, and you're facing adversity, and people are going to start picking at you.
So, looking at the broadcast right now, they're about to start. It looks like they might get started here in a second.
Yep.
So
I don't know. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts after this? Because I'm just disappointed, dog. Like,
yeah, I'm disappointed. It's again, we've talked about this. Year one, you had an opportunity to not go 5-7, and you do. Year two, you had an opportunity to make the Big 12 title game. You stumbled through. Last year was a magical year, and this year should have been even better with the third-year quarterback who hasn't played well. And just the Sark's discredit, he hasn't gone away from it. And it might cost this team a national title. Because I think everything else is good. I think the defense is good enough. Look, forget the shortcomings of the offensive line against Georgia. That's just a bad matchup for this offensive line. For whatever reason, this offense, but any of these other offensive lines, I think this Texas offensive line can dominate. I think they'll be just fine against anybody.
So here's where my frustration comes. It's like, if you know that you're good against anybody else, you should be clamoring at the fact of wanting to be better against Georgia.
Right, because that is your barometer, right? That is your barometer of success.
Of the whole season. Because as far as everybody else in the media is concerned, and SEC guys and guys has been SEC fans for years, and Alabama fans, and
They
Florida
want you
fans.
to
And
fail.
y'all ain't played nobody.
I mean, even non-SEC fans, right? Even y'all still the 2 times y'all played somebody, you got beat.
You got beat.
One time it was pretty handily, right? The second time you basically threw up on yourself.
You shot yourself in the foot. Is exactly what happened.
Yeah. So listen, I think as Texas, you kind of hope you lay in that top end of the bracket at 5, so you can avoid Georgia, and you see what happens, right? I don't know what to think of a Texas versus Oregon matchup in a semi or even a quarter. But I do think Texas could beat any of those other 5 schools. Penn State's the one thing that gives me a little bit of concern.
You know why Penn State gives you concern? Because
Because they have fast defensive linemen just like Georgia.
They got fast defensive linemen like Georgia, and guess what they do? They run the ball with their quarterback, and their quarterback isn't injured. They got a tight end that gets the ball, and they have no problem.
Tyler Warren would destroy this.
They have no problem.
Yeah.
They have no problem handing the ball off to their running back. Not one problem. He gashed Oregon. I mean, not Oregon. He gassed.
He gashed Oregon.
He gassed Oregon.
Oregon, Oregon's kind of in the same boat as Texas, right? From a run defense. Listen, people want to talk about how good Oregon is. They're beatable, especially if you have a great running game.
They almost lost to Gentry. They also almost lost to Gentry at Oregon at Boise State.
Yeah,
on a fall night in Boise, Idaho.
Yeah, you know what this team misses? I think this team misses CJ Baxter, man.
You know that was my guy.
I'm ready to concede, bro. I think this team misses CJ Baxter. As much as I like Trey Wisner and as great of a season as he has had, I think having a CJ Baxter with him against that Georgia team might have helped a lot, because CJ Baxter can absorb some of those hits and still get some. Listen, you just need to average 4 to 5 yards a carry against this Georgia team. They will break.
You know who I missed last night? Straight up, I missed Gibson. I missed him. Like, you know why I missed Gibson?
Because Gibson makes a difference, though.
Because Gibson's a bigger guy. He's a bigger back.
So it's hard to tackle. You wear down the defensive line, even if he's only getting 2 to 3 yards a carry.
They weren't scared. Georgia's defense wasn't scared of Jaden Blue. Yeah. Georgia's defense wasn't scared of Trey, because that's really the number one key factor. And for the love of God, just, like, switch something up, dog. Start moving downhill. Like,
yeah, they kept going left to right so much.
Come on, bro. Everything was lateral.
They should have attacked the middle of that defense.
Your runs should not be lateral. I'm sorry. They should not be that way.
I don't even think they should have gone outside zone. They did a lot of that, trying to get outside. They do all this weird RPOs. Listen, I get the RPO stuff, the eye candy, and you're trying to, as Texas, you're trying to make that extension of your running game. But the problem with that is Georgia's not fighting. I think the counter to that is attack the middle of the field. Little hitch passes to the middle of the field to the tight end. Down straight down the gut of this defense, right?
Yeah, but that's exactly what happened.
You open up that space, and I just don't understand why.
Oregon just got the number 1 seed. We understood that. They've been number 1 for a long period of time here, so they cash out. They get the number 1 seed.
Hey, you take care of business. Oregon takes care of business, and that's exactly what they should have done.
Georgia gets number 2.
Yep, Georgia's the number 2 seed.
Yep, that's what we expected. They handle business outside of those two. I mean,
number 3 is interesting. I think number 3 could be Boise State.
Number 3 is probably going to be Boise State, but I would not be surprised if it's Ohio State.
Well, it can't be Ohio State. They're not a conference champion.
Oh, that's true.
Hold on, you're a little ahead of me.
Okay.
So don't say it.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like they go to this resume comparison thing.
Right.
I think it could be Arizona State. I think Clemson's the 12 seed, honestly.
You think Clemson's 12?
Yeah, less losses than everybody else. And their best wins are SMU and Pitt. I think Boise could be the 3 because they're 5-1 over teams over 500. Clemson's 2-3 against teams over 500. And then Arizona State is 4.
Right.
I think Clemson's the worst of the conference champions. They're only in there because they won the conference.
Yeah. Yep. There it is. You called it. Boise State with number 3.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna need you to. You're a little bit behind. You're a little bit ahead of me. I don't want to ruin you. I don't want to ruin Texas in case they're the 5. In case they're the 5.
Wow. This is. Oh man.
Hold on.
No, there hasn't been anything announced yet. I'm just interesting. It's interesting to see where these guys are going to fall. What do you think of that?
Oh yeah, Arizona State 4. This is exactly how I said it was going to go.
Yeah. So
Arizona
I think this puts us at 5. I think this puts us.
I hope so. Oh, please give me the 5 seed. Because then would you play as is SMU the 12 seed then?
SMU would have to be the 12 seed.
This Ohio, is there a world that Notre Dame or Ohio State jump Texas?
Yes, it's very possible.
All right, let's not ruin it for me.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. The suspense.
I hate when they do this. Just tell us who it is. Please. 5.
Oh man. I think we're about to get hoed. I think we're. Oh my god.
Hold on.
Oh my god.
Hold on.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. 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 Oh.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it.
Oh.
I'll put you on mute. I don't want to hear it.
Oh. Wow. Oh, wow. I know what this means.
Hold on.
Hey.
Yes.
Dog.
You take that. You take that.
I knew for a fact that when we saw 12, that was the only thing. That was the only thing left.
Honestly, Here's the thing. I'm okay with this matchup.
That's another great defensive line.
Okay.
That's another great defensive line. That's another great running back. That's another quarterback that was written off.
Kate Klubnik has been looking good.
That's another quarterback that had been written off. They said that he wasn't good, and look at what he's doing now. The best bet for us is that this is at home. This is the best draw.
Yeah, because then you get – listen, if you beat Clemson, I think they're going to run through Arizona State. I just don't think Arizona State, from the defensive line perspective, is good enough.
I mean, Scooterberg, he's been playing crazy.
Scottaboo is doing well. But does the defense? But do the offensive lines in the Big 12 are not very good, or the defensive line?
Who do you think comes in next? Penn State comes in at number 6.
Notre Dame's at 7, I think.
Do you think Notre Dame should be punished for not playing a conference championship? Because I'm tired of seeing Notre Dame skate in.
I think Notre Dame's 7. That's what I was thinking yesterday.
Yeah. And you should be seeing that now.
Yep, Notre Dame.
Yep.
That's what I thought. So then that means I still think Tennessee and Ohio State stay 8 and 9. And I think Indiana goes to Notre Dame.
I want Ohio State versus Notre Dame.
I think Alabama's going to end up being out. I think SMU gets that 12. Let's see. Who is that? I think this might be Ohio State.
It's got to be.
I think they want that Tennessee Ohio State game so bad. That's juicy.
Yep.
Yep.
There it is. Yeah, they really want to force this Ohio State Tennessee matchup.
Well, that's money.
I mean, yeah.
You know what? I was hoping Texas would be a 5 seed. I'm actually really surprised that they are. But that Clemson match, I knew Clemson would be a 12, right? Because of the 4th highest ranked conference champion.
Right.
But Clemson's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be a tough match.
That's not gonna be easy, bro. That's not gonna be easy.
Is Clemson better than Georgia right now?
Yeah.
Because they lost to Georgia by 3 scores.
They're if Clemson and Georgia were to play again right now, Clemson's gonna. I'm not gonna say Clemson's gonna wash Georgia, but Clemson would not be easy for Georgia right now. If you said both of y'all have to meet up right now, mind you, Georgia just played 9 overtimes in the space of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like Clemson is running the ball. Cade is putting the ball in the air. Their defense is playing very well. You seen what they did to SMU.
Yeah.
SMU looked dysfunctional from the start yesterday. They
were able to pull it together, right?
They did.
I think it was too late at the end of the day, right?
But it was too little, too late by that time.
Getting off to a fast start is going to be really important. So,
Stark, you got 2 weeks, brother. You got 2 weeks.
I think Stark is going to be able to. I hope Stark is going to be able to put. I think we've got to be able to see Archer, because at this point you got nothing to lose, because if you lose, there is no next week.
That's it.
And you can't lose in the first round at home.
No.
Please, that can't happen.
I don't like seeing disappointing seasons, but if Sark
it would be a disappointment for sure, because I said
if Sark was to lose at home the first year, that's disappointing.
You did all that build up all regular season, and then it just falls off. So Indiana comes in at 10. That's no surprise.
Yeah.
This is what happens. It's either SMU or Alabama. What happens if
Alabama? They want the money. It's Alabama. It's got to be Alabama.
I think SMU only losing by 3 makes a great case for them.
It does make a great case, but guess what? They want the matchups.
Here's the thing.
They want the matchup. They want is Alabama, should they get in? No. Something tells me, dog. Something tells me Alabama's going to get in, dog. When you look at,
I don't think they do.
when you look at their wins, their key wins versus Georgia and South Carolina,
Yeah.
and then you look at SMU's key wins versus Louisville and Duke. And don't get me wrong, Louisville has had a great. I mean, Duke has had a great year, 9-3. They've done really, really good, but
Hey,
that's not strong enough.
Malik Murphy, man,
That's not strong enough. No, shout out to Malik Murphy for real.
that's great. He had a great season.
He had a great season. Shout out to him, man, for real. We could have used a Malik Murphy last night. Could have used him. Could have used a Malik Murphy for real. 6'5", 230 pounds. Good God, man. Dude has a cannon for an arm. Whoa.
Hold on. Don't say it.
Whoa. Wow.
Oh, they kept him out.
Yo, Bama, you're out of there.
Wow, they kept Alabama out.
Oh,
wow.
I was not expecting that. Kudos to the board. Hey, listen, you guys, listen, Longhorn faithful. We're about to hear it. The Alabama fans are finna go crazy. This is gonna be absolutely it's gonna be nuts.
Wow,
Alabama
that's
not
very
being
interesting.
And I swear to God, I was like, when I saw the way that SMU lost yesterday, I was like, dog, everybody is letting Alabama get back in this thing. Yep. Everybody is getting back in. But again, like you said, for SMU to come back and kind of bounce back the way that they did was impressive. It was very impressive. But at the time, it was too little too late. So now it's set.
Hold on. I'm just took an image of it. I'm bringing it up right now.
Okay.
And we can talk about it. I'm gonna post it real quick and then we can talk about it.
Boy. And you know what? I was the ACC president, yesterday before the games were starting was making a case that regardless of what happens to SMU Clemson, that both of them should get in.
He got his wish.
Huh?
At the end of the day, he got what he asked for.
He got what he asked for. They got in.
I think he was a little crybaby about it, but
I think if SMU continued to get blown out the way that they did yesterday, and
they would have been out.
Yep. I think they're out. I think they're out too.
I agree.
I think they're out.
Okay, let me bring this up. Not that one. We'll talk to it. Let's talk to it. We'll talk. Obviously, we've got a couple weeks to break down the Texas matchup, but let's talk through the rest of this bracket. Texas gets the 5 seed, right? And ultimately something I'm actually excited about. But that Clemson matchup, that's going to be a tough matchup. But I think they are at home.
Right.
And yeah, what are your thoughts just initially?
I'm gonna say this. It's not controversial. Georgia's got the easiest path to get back to the championship.
Yeah,
they got it so easy. Listen, Notre Dame. We know what Notre Dame is. We know what Notre Dame can do. Notre Dame hadn't really been tested all year. Do they have a loss? Yes, they have a loss, but they haven't really been tested all year. Indiana, I like Indiana, but Indiana got ran out of the gym by Ohio State. And I think now you give Georgia some fuel. Texas loses. Georgia wins the SEC championship. Now they got fuel. Now they basically from their standpoint, and I know what Kirby believes in, they can win with anybody. It don't matter who it is. They can win with anybody. Banged up quarterback, don't matter. Stick your backup in there. Number
Might
two,
actually be better.
yeah, he might actually be better. Number two scrambling quarterback in the nation. He just so happens to be exceptionally well throwing the ball as well. He can move, and their offense look completely different. Trevor Etienne, banged up ribs, all leg injuries, rib injuries. Hadn't played in 3 weeks. Comes in, looks like a stud. Okay, scores 5 touchdowns against one of the best defenses in the country. Their mindset and the way that they're looking at things, this is easy. Indiana got ran out the gym. Notre Dame hadn't really played anybody. Then we could go up against Penn State, SMU, or Boise State. I just don't think they have the most dangerous team out of that group. That next set of group is Penn State.
Yeah, I think Penn State Georgia would be a really fun matchup.
I think Franklin saved his job. Coach Franklin saved his job by getting into the playoffs this year as well.
I thought they were going to get him regardless.
Huh?
I thought they were as long as they make. Well, I think making it to the Big Ten championship is what sealed them. It actually moved them up.
Yeah, for sure. But I think Coach Franklin was on. I think he was. He's been there for a long time. He's been there 10, 11 years now, and he, even though they didn't win, they were still competitive, and I think that really was something that like kind of saved his job. Yep. I think just based on sheer talent alone at the tight end, running back, and quarterback position, I think Penn State advances to a semifinal.
I think so too.
When it comes to Tennessee, Ohio State, Georgia, honestly, with that group, any one of those guys could go. Like, you know what I'm saying? If Tennessee, you get Tennessee on a good day, they actually call plays and they actually pass the ball.
Yeah, they
can dot you up. Oregon, we know what Oregon can do. We know what almost happened to Georgia. You get them you get a good running back in there. You get a nice, you get a nice running game. They could be in trouble.
What's really interesting to me? If you look at the seeding, right, which is obviously most important. Texas only dropped 1 spot.
Yeah.
Which is what put them in that 5 seed, right?
Right.
So they still gave them the benefit of the doubt over a Penn State.
Yeah. So here's the thing, though.
I think going to overtime might have done that.
I think the overtime saved Texas, because if it didn't, Texas would be at 7.
I think it'd be. Well, here's the thing. So yesterday, I don't know if you, or maybe it was Friday, the commissioner guy for the CFP said there is not going to be a team that drops below anybody that doesn't make the
conference. Okay.
So I don't think they would like them ever dropping against Notre Dame was not going to happen.
Okay.
And so that then goes down to, well, which if whoever the 5 or the, and I think Georgia would have been the same. I think Georgia would have been the 5 seed. Right. Because depending on if Penn State beat Oregon, how badly do they beat Oregon, right? And as long as like that score was a 1 possession game, which it ended up being, I think, they would have been, but then it was less points, I guess, is what it is. And it went into overtime is what gave Texas. Also, you're not going to drop Texas from 2 all the way to 6, right? For losing a game in overtime. And I think that's what that comes down to as well. What do you think about the committee? I think that the committee leaving Alabama out, it might sound surprising, but I'm actually not as surprised.
I think I'll be completely candid. I think the college football committee is fatigued of Alabama, and I think Alabama having 3 losses is a perfect way to say you didn't win enough games.
Yep.
You don't deserve to be in a college football playoff. And that's literally it. Clemson won their conference championship. They're in. They have 3 losses, but they're in.
Yeah.
Everybody else has 2 losses or less.
Yep.
So I think the fatigue of Alabama has finally set in, and the college football playoff said, enough. We're done. Even though they did have a better resume than SMU, and SMU played very well this year. Again, the only time SMU really looked crazy was against Clemson. They weren't getting blown out in their other loss, but I just think that I think that we're gonna. This could be a new trend. I think this could be a new trend. I tell you right now, if Georgia has 3 losses, I don't think Georgia gets in. I just think that they're trying to set a precedence that, like, hey, if you have more than 3 losses, it's going to be very, very hard for you to get into this tournament.
Yep.
And I respect
depending on how everything else turns out. Like, there might be years because there's so many, especially when you get into 14, that I think 3, like if you get to 14, right? You had
14
2 more.
is going to be different. They're going to be 2-3 loss teams within 2026, 2027.
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
14, hypothetically, in this year's playoff, right? Who do you pick between? Because the next 3 teams after that are Miami, Alabama, and then South Carolina is right.
You have to put South Carolina and you have to put Alabama in. You have to. Unfortunately, I don't like putting all of those SEC teams in against each other, but you have to.
Ole Miss.
Because Syracuse's loss or Syracuse's win against Miami is devastating. Mm-hmm. The SEC ate each other up.
Which they will continue to do every year.
The SEC will continue to do that.
They will always do that.
It is the best conference. So if you look at even South Carolina's losses versus Miami's losses, they trump them.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Do the losses out? I think it came down to, do the losses outweigh the wins? And I think that's where Alabama got hurt.
Right.
Their losses hurt them more than their wins helped.
Exactly.
And I think that's the piece of this puzzle nobody really talks about is you can't lose by 3 possessions to a 6-loss OU team.
No.
I don't care how good you think the SEC is. That's a bad Oklahoma team.
Yeah. Can't do it.
A team that Texas beat by 4 or 5 scores, right? On a neutral site. It doesn't matter if you went to Oklahoma. Listen, Oklahoma fans are going to say, "Oh, well, Oklahoma's home field advantage is trash," and they don't have one, right? I've seen Oklahoma games. Their home field advantage is not what they make it out to be. That was a bad football team, and they got flat out dominated by.
Yep.
If it wasn't for Oklahoma winning that game, we would have played Alabama.
Yeah. You got to think about it even with this. If you did 14 team playoff, South Carolina beat Clemson, who's a conference championship winner.
Yeah, that's the only reason Clemson's in, though.
Yeah, I get it, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if this
the only 3-loss team that's in.
If you're I get that, but what I'm saying is, if you went to 14 teams, Miami doesn't have a statement win like South Carolina or Alabama.
But I still think they're the next 3 teams in, though, right?
I get what you're saying. I just don't believe that Miami is one of those 3 teams.
They shouldn't be. Yeah, I could agree. I don't think Miami is that good.
Me neither.
And I've said it for weeks. I think I said it, and I picked Miami to win the ACC because I expected them to roll through their schedule with the team they had, and that just didn't happen. Listen, if Miami doesn't lose to Georgia Tech, they're in the ACC title game. We're talking about SMU versus Miami.
Yeah.
Like these games that these teams have lost, determine conference title game matchups.
It determines seeding. It determines everything, man. From a matchup perspective,
Alabama's a much better matchup for Texas than Georgia is.
Oh, for sure. And again,
I have
Again,
no fear of Alabama against Jalen Milroe.
Alabama is one dimensional. I was having
Yes.
a conversation with Coach Ware yesterday on how I believe, like, I believe that Alabama has done a disservice to Jalen Milroe. And the reason why I believe that Alabama has done a disservice to Jalen Milroe is because they haven't done anything to develop him. They
Yeah.
just tell him to
Which
go
I
win
was
the.
very disappointed by because I thought Kalen DeBoer would be the guy to help develop Jalen Milroe.
They haven't done anything. They basically said, "Hey, we're gonna put the game on your back. You go run and go win the game." And that
Do you
kid is
think
taking a
Jalen
lot of
Milroe
hits.
do you think Jalen Milroe would enter the portal after 1 year?
Do I think he would go into the portal now?
Yeah.
He should.
Like he's been in this program for a year under Kalen DeBoer, right? And he came in assuming, hey, this is what I was gonna do, and it hasn't turned in.
You know where I would go?
Miami.
No, I'm going to Oregon.
Well,
I would go to Oregon in a heartbeat. Dylan Gabriel's gonna be gone.
well, they've already brought in another guy.
So what?
So now you want to go compete with another guy? So
He's not gonna.
hopefully
I'd rather listen. You can either be a fourth round, fifth round draft pick, or you can go and compete, get some NIL money because he's gonna get the NIL money, right? If Jalen Milroe decided tomorrow, I'm going into the transfer portal, he's going to be touted as the number one quarterback in college football. He will be the number one college football.
he'll be the number one portal guy. For sure.
You go to Oregon. You've already got some cachet on you. You know, you do have some cachet on you. Did you have the greatest year this year? Absolutely not. I don't know what happened with Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams hadn't been the same since he ran or since he caught for 200 plus yards in that one game. He has not been there like at all. I don't know if they're doubling Ryan Williams. I haven't watched enough Alabama games to know exactly what they're doing to scheme for Ryan Williams, but he has not been the same since that breakout game that he had. And everybody said that Ryan Williams was the best wide receiver in college football.
Hey, real quick, breaking news. Texas now has a time slot.
Okay.
Well. They will be the 4 p.m. game on December 21st.
That's absolutely nasty.
So they will be the afternoon game on December 21st, 4 days before Christmas. And Ohio State, Tennessee will be the night game. SMU, Penn State is the 12 o'clock game. And then the Friday night game is Indiana, Notre Dame.
Ew.
Winner will go to the Peach Bowl, which is in Tempe, which is a home game for Arizona State.
That is definitely a home game.
And then winner of that, and that will be on New Year's Day. That'll be the 12 o'clock.
We're gonna watch a college football game on TNT.
Yeah, bro, they put that bread out there, bro. They put that bread out there.
Wow.
We get 2 games.
Shout out to the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. The Peach Bowl used to be just a bum bowl game. It has within the last 15 years turned into something massive. Like it is, the Peach Bowl has put itself in the upper echelon of bowl games. Like this is kind of crazy, dog. The Peach Bowl, if you think about it, the Peach Bowl over the last couple years has had some really, really good matchups.
They have. Let's see, what else do we have? You look at this bracket now. Who has the easiest road to the championship?
It's Georgia. I don't care what anybody says. It's Georgia. It's Georgia.
Okay.
I would say Georgia, Penn State, Texas, Ohio State.
What about Oregon?
Georgia, Penn State, Oregon, Texas. No, Georgia, Penn State, Texas, Oregon. Because Oregon has beat Ohio State before. I don't think Tennessee is as talented as Ohio State or Oregon. I think they have the potential to get there, but I don't think they're as talented as Ohio State or Oregon right now.
Would Ohio State beat Oregon in a rematch? They can. I mean, I think they can. They only lost by one.
Honestly, at this time, I just don't trust Ryan Day. Again, I don't trust Ryan Day. I don't trust Sark. I don't trust Franklin. I don't trust those guys. I don't. They're all in the same class to me now. You've got the best of the best. You got the best of the best, and you have not put in anything. You haven't done anything. You had some. Do you have some key wins in your careers? Absolutely. I think in Texas, I think about what they did against Alabama in the win and the loss against Alabama.
Yeah. Hey, look, low key, I'm glad that they forced Ohio State, Oregon, because now Texas doesn't have to go through both of them. You only have to go through
one.
Yeah. So I like that. If Texas can get through this,
could you imagine if Texas would have had to go to Austin?
Oh,
that would have been insane.
Yeah, or even the shoe. And then have to turn around.
We've seen that before. We know what kind of game that produces.
Yeah. And we'll see it again to start next year.
Yep.
With Arch, right? So, listen, I think it'll be really interesting how this plays out. I'm happy with Texas being the 5 seed. I'm completely okay with that.
I'm okay with it. But they got.
You got to get ready. Like this is going to be a good Clemson team.
You're going to face another great defensive line. That's just what it is.
It's Clemson now. Is Clemson's defensive line bigger or faster?
Clemson's defensive line is just as good as Georgia's. Clemson's defensive line is just as good as South Carolina's. Clemson's defensive line gave Georgia fits. Clemson just couldn't put anything on the board. Clemson's defensive line. Do you remember that game?
I do remember that
game. Their defense was just on the field entirely too much. Clemson's offense, again, after that game, Cade Klubnik was written off. These guys are not going to compete. That's interesting. We don't know why. We don't know what's going to happen. Again, I'm hoping that the Texas defensive line can stand up and be somewhat even close to South Carolina.
You're gonna need Kelvin Banks back for this game. You know what I think is interesting? I wonder, and this might be a little too late. Do you move Trevor Gooseby to like a guard,
right tackle,
or a right tackle?
Do it. What do you got to lose? What you got to lose?
And don't worry about feelings, right? This is about winning a national title. If you don't win this game,
it's all about that.
Matter what happens.
At this point, it's all about that. If your feelings are hurt, sorry, we can reevaluate it after the season. But for right now, Sark has to get the best guys on the field. There is no way that you can't tell me that you can't win a game that way, because we've seen it happen. We watched it yesterday. We watched it years ago when Tua came in out of nowhere and put Jalen Hurts on the bench.
Yeah.
On a halftime game, during a halftime game.
Yep.
Like what?
It's about winning national titles for Sark. And if you're obsessed that much with doing so,
at that time, you know what? At that time, I said to myself, especially watching that Alabama-Georgia game, I said, there's no way in hell Jalen Hurts is going to win this game. But there's no way in hell a backup quarterback is going to win them the ball game, and they're down big. And Tua puts the ball on a rope in the back of the end zone, and they win the national championship.
Yep.
We got done the same way. I said it earlier. Our best interest for us who have won yesterday and looked good winning is to beat up on Carson Beck, and we got knocked out of the game.
Yeah.
He doesn't get knocked out of the game. Do I think Georgia wins? No, I don't. Because they were stagnant until that kid came in and was able to run around and put up points and put new life into that offense. And that Georgia team responded like a champion. They played like champions, that's right. We didn't.
Any final thoughts on this bracket?
I think Alabama, the Alabama Crimson Tide fans are going to, would not be surprised if something happens in that city.
No problem.
I would not be surprised. I think personally, I think they did a good job.
I thought the committee got it right, to be honest. I'm sorry.
This is the first time where I felt like the committee got it right from jump.
Yeah, I don't think anybody got snubbed.
I don't think anybody got. I mean, the argument is who are the top 12 teams in the nation? The top 12 teams in the nation outside of Clemson being a conference championship do not have more than 3 losses.
Right.
That's it. It's right there in front of you.
Alabama is not a top 10, 12 team when you lose 3 games, and one of them is by multiple scores to a 6-loss team. That you're not a top 12 team in the nation. I'm sorry. You're just not. And you don't have to like that. You don't have to like agree with it. But those are the facts. But yeah, this Clemson team will be a challenge. We'll obviously break it down over the next couple weeks. We'll be back Thursday nights. You guys know us. That's my guy, Tim Wayne. My name's Harish. For now, we're out of here. Peace.
Till Gabriel.
Go home. Touchdown like the end zone. When the circle to the my home. Can't get me out of my zone. Go hard. Go home.